Source Nation. Join us now for The Pendulum with Dr. Samori Swygert, a platform that encourages the 4Ds of philosophy: discussion, discourse, dialogue, and debate. Prepare to travel from the past, present, and have discussions of future implications and projections with a correlation to African Americans. These topics are intended to grab your attention, cause contemplation, and encourage some form of action. From the world to the White House to the hood and everything good, the pendulum is swinging your way. Source Nation, here is your host, Dr. Samori Swygert.
Hello, Source Nation, and I want to say Happy New Year 2018. 2018. Yes. I'm glad that I'm back in the saddle with everybody, all the listeners, everybody that has contributed their attention, their time, their energy to listen to the platform that we have here at Source Radio Network. And, you know, we don't take that as any small thing, because you could always be doing something else instead of listening to us, but you do. So we're very grateful and thankful and humbled for that. I am Dr. Samori Swygert, aka Doc Swag. Like I said, we're back in the saddle, and today we're going to give a synopsis. This is my 2017 in review. We'll talk about that. And with that said, let's get it on. As you know how we do, wishing great blessings of health, family, love, career success, spiritual progress, and the accomplishment of your dreams. Now, Source Nation, we always get intellectually intimate. And before we do, we always make sure that you get your coffee, your wine, your water. If you want to turn your water into wine, that's fine. And make sure you always pass me my shoehorn so I can put my foot all up in the issues of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Samori Swygert, aka Doc Swag. I want to welcome you to my show, The Pendulum. Now, a pendulum is an apparatus that people associate with a clock. It gauges time and space. It goes backward and forward. Some would say retrograde to anterograde. And this is what we do as we go through our topics and discuss topics and issues or concerns. We have to connect the dots of the past, present, and future. The show is designed to encourage the 4Ds: debate, dialogue, discussion, and discourse. Make sure you gather your friends and family as we prepare to travel from the past to present and have discussions of future implications and projections with a correlation for African Americans. From the world to the White House to the hood and everything good, the pendulum is swinging your way. Now, as I said, today we are going to go through Doc Swag's top 2017 moments, and they're all over the place. They're in no particular order. It's just things that were kind of memorable for me that many of you can relate to. So with that said, let's go ahead and start this off, and we'll see if you can relate. So, back in January of 2017, that is when we saw the death of Bishop Eddie Long. Eddie Long, he ran a very powerful church ministry down in Atlanta, Georgia. And, he had a very strong following. And unfortunately, prior to his death, he had come under controversy and scandal where allegedly he was being sexually promiscuous with these young men. A couple of them came out and, said what happened with him and everything. They have photos of him posing and sending them photos and things of that nature. So that really just crippled his ministries. And after that, things just went downhill. You start seeing different pictures of him getting very slim. He was saying he was changing up his diet and he stopped eating the chicken wings and things like that. But then it came to the point where he just really looked like a skeleton. And we come to find out that he was diagnosed with some type of cancer. And at the top of the year, January 2017, Eddie Long had passed away. So that had kicked off. Now, towards the end of last year, 2017, we lost one of our biggest prominent icons that participated in the civil rights era. He was a fraternity brother of mine of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, a world famous comedian. He would call himself more of a humorist than a comedian. He was a human rights activist also, and that is Baba Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory played a very influential role in many many events, many things, and ushering in changes in how we should diet and treat our bodies. So, Dick Gregory had passed. So I actually went to his funeral in D.C. Well, Maryland, they had the big service where Farrakhan did his eulogy. They had everybody there speaking. They had Joe Madison there. Stevie Wonder was there. His daughter sang for him. Of course, all his family was there. Man, pretty much everybody that you could think of was there. It was very, very heartfelt. Then they had the march from the Howard Theater to the processional from Howard Theater in D.C. to Ben's Chili Bowl. We're on the side of the historic Ben's Chili Bowl in D.C. They have a big mural with Dick Gregory's face on it, next to Dave Chappelle and a lot of other people on that mural. But Dick Gregory has a very big presence on that mural. So we marched. I was there for the processional. They did it New Orleans theme style, and Brother Gregory's funeral car was driven through the streets, and everybody followed. They had the band playing and everything, so it was really nice. So we saw the death of Dick Gregory. Also, hip hop took a big loss. We saw the death of Prodigy from Mobb Deep. Now, Prodigy and Mobb Deep, they came into prominence in the 90s. Rap group duo from Queens. I'm from Queens, New York originally, and they were a staple in the hip hop community. And so when Prodigy passed away, it was a very big thing. A lot of people were touched by that. And the thing is, with Prodigy, you could see his elevation through his albums, from talking, gangster talk, all the way up to his last album. Right before he passed, he released the album the same year. It's called Hegelian Dialectic. Check that out. It's called Hegelian Dialectic. And that was released the same year that he passed away. And, he was on a more conscious level, talking about what's happening in the world, things we need to be concerned about as far as food, as far as the government, as far as education, getting spiritually right. And that is a complete 180, meaning opposite and extreme from zero of gangster talk up to where he progressed and left. So rest in peace to Prodigy from Mobb Deep. That was tremendous for the hip hop community. We also saw the death of David Bowie. That was major. So these are things that we've seen. Now, for a quick second, I want to make sure that we take an opportunity to thank our sponsors, because a lot of this that you see and listen to all the time, it is completely because of their help. It's their presence, it's their contributions that make all this possible. And our sponsors are Zuliana Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper to Film Productions, Revolution Mills, Renovations, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, Urban Grandstand Digital, and New Covenant of Praise Worship Center. All right. They make all of this possible. So with that said, we're going to take a quick break, and after the break, we'll be back to talk about the real events that I felt kind of just touched home in 2017. All right? Okay.
Source Nation, stay tuned. You're listening live to The Pendulum with Dr. Samori Swygert.
Source Radio Network is just one of the many platforms that is used to fulfill dreams of our listeners and create a purpose that will impact the lives of our communities, cities, and the world. It is often said that great things will happen when a group of driven people work together to accomplish one goal. We're giving people the opportunity to have a voice, translate words that haven't been heard, and paint pictures that no one has seen. Source Radio Network is fueling your life's purpose. How can you listen? www.blogtalkradio.com/Source Radio. Hey you, do you know your history? Do you know your culture? We have a beautiful history full of triumph, determination, perseverance, love, hope, faith, family, and community. And as your great griot, I want to share that history with you. A griot? It's pronounced griot, or in English, a griot. It's a West African term for the person who keeps up with the genealogy, the history, the culture, shares the stories of the people, and so much more. We're like a walking library, full of knowledge and ready to share. I'm going to take you into the history and the culture of your people from all over the world. A griot's purpose is to serve the people. That's right. As the great griot, I am here to serve you. Because the more you know, the more you grow. Wait, that's not my quote. Oh well, it's the truth. The Great Griot, a brand new Black History web series. Check us out online at www.thegreatgriot.com or subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/thegreatgriot.
It's a new world. 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 Yo, celebrate the new life. New ways to make money. New ways to break dummies. Forge they name and take money. Computers ain't that smart. Whatever man built could be taken apart. Anything new can get old. Like dudes started rocking platinum. Some stopped wearing gold. Solar energized rides. No steering wheel, tell it how to drive. No propellers in the sky. Airplanes like mini rockets. Waiting lists for the rich to get tickets to visit Mars. While the poor people starve. Computers taking over their jobs. A man's forced to live off land. Now it's back to the caveman era. When we made fire by two sticks rubbing together. The truth is many are too scared of new data. America online, cut off, see you later. Yo, welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way of living. Cash is the past, a new way of spending. New life for men, children and women. Welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way of living. Cash is the past, a new way of spending. A new life for men, children and women. Yo, the new Mike Tyson's Roy Jones. Bill Clinton's the new JFK without the hole in his dome. The new Don Trump is Bill Gates. Not because his occupation is cause we respect his cake. A cake meaning stock, net gross. Young kids step it up, go for the most. New cameras and police cars taking pictures. New hustlers getting new street figures. And US embassies overseas. Almost every foreign country's under siege. Covertly starting wars. CIA, Navy SEALs commit larcenies that be worth over millions. Oil in the earth spills. Girls blow their body up, birth control pills. Africans pick diamonds out of dark caves. Then we wear it on our necks just so we can light up the stage. Yo, welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way of living. Cash is the past, a new way of spending. New life for man, children and women. Welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way of living. Cash is the past, a new way of spending. A new life for man, children and women. Say goodbye to the brainwashed. Say goodbye to the young kids who not smart. Say goodbye to the toasters and Pop-Tarts. Yo, it's real. Swallow a little pill, it's a full-course meal. Say hello to the one world. Say hello to the sky. Something's out there watching you and I. More enticing than Star Trek. Star Trek phones. Your genes and DNA is used to make clones. You got CD-ROM. Everything operates by computers. Then what happens when circuit breaks? Y2K's the big scare. Scientists say we ain't prepared. What I feel is contrary. Alexander Graham Bell made telephones, yes, but now we request for your email address. I might be old-fashioned, stuck in my ways, but nothing make me more happier than seeing today. Yo, welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way of living. Cash is the past, a new way of spending. New life for man, children and women. Welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way of living. Cash is the past, a new way of spending. A new life for man, children and women. Welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way of living. Cash is the past, a new way of spending. New life for man, children and women. Welcome to the new world, new beginning. A new way to play, a new way way of living. When cash is the past, a new way of spending. A new life for men, children, and women. It's a new world. It's a new world. It's a new world. It's a new world.
Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to The Pendulum with Dr. Samori Swygert.
All right, so we're back at it again. Source Nation, welcome back to The Pendulum. All right, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the voice of Dr. Samori Swygert, aka Doc Swag. And before we left off, we were talking about the events of 2017 in review. And so we're continuing on. You know, we had the death of David Bowie, great musician. Now, here's another thing. Rapper Jay-Z, business mogul, husband to Beyonce. He wears many hats. He released his 444 album, and that got a lot of praise. You know, a lot of people lauded it because they felt like they were seeing the maturation of Jay-Z compared to his previous albums. He more so peeled the onion back, pulled the curtains back, and revealed and disclosed a lot of the most personal, intimate details about his infidelity, about his mother. I believe he said, like, you know, his mother was part of the LGBT community, different things with his father and his uncle, what his fears are with his child. So this is a more introspective Jay-Z that people never really saw before, and they felt that this was good, and they felt like, you know, this is something that the community needs. So that made a big splash when it came out. Number 7, this was talked about for about a good 2 weeks, and this was the social media meltdown with Tyrese. You know, it's good to know that the brother's okay, but, you know, at first people were really, in DC they say joning on him, but, you know, people really, like, you know, laughing at him, but, you know, it wasn't really funny. The state of mental health, especially in the black community, goes unaddressed for a large part. Many people say it's a taboo issue. And I can agree with that. I can concur with that. But he had this big meltdown because him and his child's mother, you know, he's paying child support. And I think he's saying he's paying something like upwards of $31,000 a month. You know, so, you know, he started breaking down crying and he just had like a real major meltdown. And that just went viral. People were making all types of memes and skits and things like that. But it looks like the brother is back on top of his game. So shout outs to Tyrese on that. Cardi B, okay, you know, she did that Bodak Yellow, and that put her on the map. Like, you know, people were familiar with her from the Love and Hip Hop and things of that nature. She admitted that she had a history, you know, stripping, and then Love and Hip Hop, you know, gave her a little bit of prominence, and then she was able to parlay that following and her other media presence into a lucrative record deal. She broke records, the only female rapper to really get this many single sales and spins since Lauryn Hill. So Cardi B did that, and you know, hey, she was doing her thing. She's making money moves, all right? The other thing, number 9, you know, they say let it burn. We can't forget there was the Usher herpes controversy where there was a girl and a guy. I think the girl said that she may have contracted herpes from Usher, allegedly. And then there was, I believe it's a guy that said he was exposed to it from Usher. Now, what that means, you know, I don't know. You know, people will say and do a lot of things that will make you think one way, but it still kind of keeps them legally protected if they phrase it the right way. But yeah, so that was a big thing. That was a big thing. All right. Now, number 10, the Me Too campaign. Let's not forget about that. That took the last quarter of 2017 to the brink. So the Me Too campaign, first of all, the Me Too campaign was started originally by a black woman years ago. But this started with the dismantling and revealing and exposing of Hollywood director, producer Harvey Weinstein. And one by one, people were just coming out, all these women were coming out with these allegations like, look, yes, Harvey, he was sexually abusive, he was aggressive, he was a harasser, just everything that you could imagine. That's what Harvey Weinstein was. And so once that got blown off, that opened the floodgates. And it's ironic when you say open the floodgates because you also had Hurricane Harvey. And so I don't know if that was a forecast of what was to come. But after that, so many other people started falling and being named in that whole Me Too campaign. And the Washington Post Express, they had compiled a brief list of different men that were accused of sexual misdealings and harassments and abuse. They used their power and position to exploit their sexual fantasies or whatever desires with many women in the industry. So that's Harvey Weinstein. You had Kevin Spacey. You had Louis C.K., Brett Ratner, John Conyers. That was big. John Conyers in Congress. Roy Moore. Now he was running for Alabama State. Al Franken. All right. George H.W. Bush. Glenn Thrush. Charlie Rose. Garrison Keillor. Matt Lauer, that was a big one. Russell Simmons, big one. George Takei, James Toback, Mario Batali, Jeremy Piven, T.J. Miller, Dustin Hoffman, and Jeffrey Tambor. Now these are some. There's still more, and that was just more so politics and like Hollywood. I'm waiting for the record industry to have its Me Too. Russell Simmons, I think, is just the top of it, in my opinion. But yeah, the Me Too campaign was serious. So they then also tried to mix in Tavis Smiley, but Tavis is fighting back saying, look, what you're trying to do by PBS firing him and mixing him in, he's fighting. He's saying, no, this was just a relationship at my job. There was nothing of forced non-consent, things of that nature. So we'll see how that plays out. But he did lose his job. PBS did let Tavis Smiley go. So that's that. Oh, number 11. Of course, you can't forget Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Now, the thing with this one was very interesting is people were saying that Colin was trying to besmirch the American flag and besmirch the military. And the irony, if you look at the beginning of it, you take it back to the beginning, while everybody was singing the anthem, the only thing Colin did was just take a knee. He didn't make any announcements. The media, ran up to Colin in the locker room, asked him, hey, we saw you taking a knee during the anthem when everybody's standing. What's that about? And then he explained, and then they didn't like his explanation. Then they twisted it as if he's being unpatriotic, he's being against the military, he's against the flag, and all this type of stuff. When his initial position was, look, there is a lot of unjust things that is happening between American citizens and the cops. And this is what I'm doing to bring awareness to the situation. That was it. And it just snowballed into this humongous controversy that it dividing players and owners and coaches and friends. Like, it just ripped the scab off, the racial scab off of the American body. So that was interesting. Number 12, Officer Slager. This was the guy who killed Walter Scott. This is the police officer that killed Walter Scott in South Carolina. Shot him in the back multiple times while he was running. The cop said he felt threatened, and so he continued to fire at him, despite the fact that there's video footage. Thank you to the brother that actually had the courage and the care to actually film the whole thing from the bushes. You saw the fact that, hey, why were you afraid? He wasn't running towards you. He wasn't charging you. He was running from you. So there was no reason to fear for your life. He was not coming towards you. He was trying to get away from you. He was scared of you. And you shot him in the back multiple times. And then there's also some little video of him doing something funny with the gun and stuff. So that was wild. But this year, Officer Swygert was found guilty of killing Walter Scott. All right. Next thing that everybody was talking about, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. This took this took everybody by storm. I mean, you know, everybody was, well, not everybody. It was a talk amongst a lot of America. They're seeing British royalty marrying an American citizen, and not just an American citizen, but a woman of color. Her mother is black, father is white. There were some factions, there was portions of black women that felt like, you know, this is a win for black women. Then there's also a lot of people that were saying, well, you know, congratulations that she found love, but we don't consider this a win for black women. There's nothing for black women to really gain. This is not changing the fact that black women's children are being shot down by police. Her getting married isn't changing gentrification. Her getting married isn't doing anything about health care for black women. It's not doing anything for the taxes that have just been signed in. Her getting married isn't doing anything about this expensive education and student loan forgiveness. So I've seen literally I'm looking back and forth on the different arguments about that. And I believe both sides have an argument. But the one thing I will say is this, though, is I don't personally think it's a win for love. Okay? It's a win for love. Do I think that it's a win for black women? I don't see why it's necessarily a win. Is it a win? Why? Because she got married to royalty. So then if we're equating marrying wealth as a win, then a lot of us have lost, because it's not like a lot of us have married billionaires, and in this case, the British crown is worth trillions. We haven't married into a family that's worth trillions of dollars. So in that case, it's not a win, it's a loss for all our marriages, all our grandparents and mothers and fathers who have had very loving and caring marriages. I mean, that says a lot. I think we have to be careful with how we frame our narrative about wins, losses, and what it means. There's a lot of good black women marrying good black men that go unappraised by America. Good black women are getting married every day. They are winning every day, finding good love, great companionship, a loving and nurturing relationship. So that's that. The next one, number 14, Soldier LaDavid Johnson was killed in Niger, Africa. This was a big stir because, you know, he was one of 4 military men that were allegedly under attack in Niger, and he was left by the rescue crew. And of course he was killed, he says dismembered, and he suffered a very harsh fate in Niger. But it kicked up a big whirlwind controversy storm because a lot of people didn't even know that there were military operations going on in Niger. And so with that, you then had Donald Trump pretty much kind of like blow the wife of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, blow smoke. You know, like, oh, well, you know, he knew what he signed up for. Very dismissive, disregarded the empathy and sympathy that she deserved as a grieving widow of a husband that served the military. And that was disrespectful. And then the black woman, senator, she was with the wife of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, said that conversation didn't even go down that way, that Trump was lying. And so that was a big controversy. And then they had the ceremony, but she wasn't even privileged to see his body. It was a closed casket, but then come to find out, the story broke, either his remains weren't in the casket or not all of them were there. There were still remains of him in Niger. So that was like another blow again. So it just shows you then, for the record, you know, you can do your research. The U.S. has military operations in 53 of the 54 countries in Africa. So just so you won't be surprised, yeah, the U.S. has operations in 53 of the 54 countries in Africa. All right, moving along. You had the continuous firing and resigning of Trump's cabinet members. This was major because so many people, I think I did a show on this one, so many people were relieved of their position under the Trump administration. That was Anthony Scaramucci, you had Sally Yates, you had Michael Flynn, you had Harara, James Comey, Sean Spicer, Rance Priebus, Tom Price, Sebastian Gorka, Steve Bannon, Michael Duke, Walter Schaub, Paul Manafort, and George Papadopoulos. Man, this is unlike, I've never seen anything like this before. Never. I've never seen anything. I mean, so many people getting relieved of their duty back and forth with Trump. You know, he definitely has the bully pulpit down pat. Now, Source Nation, if you're just tuning in, I'm your host, Dr. Samori Swygert. You're listening to The Pendulum, okay, every Wednesday at 8. Now, we're just talking about the 2017 year in review. You're just touching on those topics and just breaking it all down. So we just finished talking about the firing of Donald Trump's cabinet members, right? And campaign members, too. People that helped build his campaign. Number 16, you had the Bitcoin explosion. And it's so interesting, too, because on our show, we have Tyrone S. Mitchell. And he's a financial advisor. Gives great, awesome financial advice and insight on how to manage your money, how to grow your funds, everything, taxes, all of that. Tyrone Mitchell is on his thing, all right? And he comes on at 6 o'clock Wednesdays. Now, Tyrone Mitchell and myself, we did a show on Bitcoin back in March, and this was when Bitcoin was about $1,054. We did a whole show on that. Then Bitcoin just exploded. Like towards the end of the year, it got to $20,000. It hit the $20,000 mark. So Tyrone S. Mitchell and myself, I think we were kind of, as far as in the black community and as far as people it being a popular idea among African Americans, Tyrone S. Mitchell and myself, we were on this back in March talking about it. We did 2 shows actually when Bitcoin was just 1,000 and some change. It went all the way up to $20,000. Everybody had Bitcoin fever, you know. And so now it's simmered down to about, I think as of today, like 13,000 and some change. But still big growth. But I mean, people had Bitcoin fever. That's all they could talk about. So Bitcoin was one of those top items for the 2017 year in review. Number 17, the Las Vegas country music concert shooting. This was crazy. Like, I mean, do y'all remember this? Like, this is when they had the outdoor concert in Las Vegas. I forget the guy's name, and then he was at the MGM hotel, and he had hundreds of guns in his room. He had 2 tripods with automatic rifles attached to them, and he just shot up the whole crowd from his hotel room, just raining down bullets on people, something that was never ever seen before in America. And so that was crazy. Then that sparked a big thing on gun control, but then that pushed her right on down to number 18, the Texas church mass shooting. Now this is when in Texas, this young guy went inside the church. He had body armor, he had high power rifle, and just shot up the church. He killed a whole family. I think it was like 8 members in one family. It's crazy. And it takes me back to another broadcast I did on Source Radio Network. I called it the Dennis the Menace effect. And I was discussing what is it about mass shooters and white males that it seems like this is a recurrent common theme. So these 2 shootings were just within 2 weeks. You had the Las Vegas shooting, and then you had the Texas mass church shooting. Then, moving on to number 19, let's not forget, you had the Charlottesville Tiki Torch White Supremacist March on UVA. And so, you know, you had like Richard Spencer, who like helps lead the alt-right movement. A lot of other people, you know, just different white supremacist groups, white nationalist groups, they all marched up to UVA with their torches. You know, you get massive swaths of these young white males in their khakis, in their polo shirts, holding torches, chanting blood and soil. And then, the next day it broke out into violent protests between supporters and non-supporters. And then you had the young white male drive his car through the crowd and killed the young white woman. So that was another crazy moment in 2017. Moving along, number 20. This kind of snowballed, but we'll first say the Roland Martin show with Umar Johnson. That was an epic debate. It was epic because you had 3 people, including Roland, kind of going at Dr. Umar Johnson, and he handled them with surgical precision and defended himself. And that was something else. Everybody's just like, wow, I can't believe I saw what I just saw, So that was real big, Then let's fast forward to number 21. TV One, before the end of the year, cuts Roland Martin show. So TV One actually parted ways with Roland Martin for whatever their reasons were, but they cut Roland. I think his last show was like December 21st. So yes, so Roland was cut. And so a lot of people were hurt because for them, this was a network where black people felt they were getting news that mattered from a concerned black voice. And people developed a lot of love for Roland Martin. And he did. He brought a lot of good issues to the table for discussion and to make you aware of the issues that are at hand that you need to think about that can affect you and your family. So a lot of people were really hurt when Roland Martin was cut by TV One. Moving on, 22. Omarosa was fired or resigned from the Trump cabinet. Let you tell it. She says she wasn't fired and that she wasn't tossed out. But at the end of the day, she is no longer with the Trump administration. All right. 23. You had the Senate tax bill. This was a big stir at the end of 2017. This tax bill, we still have yet to see the blowback from it. I know one of the things that was included in it was that it grants a one-time repatriation discount on taxes, a major discount on taxes of these companies, multinational companies that have warehoused a lot of offshore revenue. So you have like Swiss bank accounts and Canary Islands and Luxembourg and all these. These are where, people like Apple, Microsoft, or, wherever, just a lot of these multinational companies, the revenue that they generate, they would put a lot of that in these offshore accounts, tax havens, so that they don't have to pay taxes on millions of dollars. For instance, Apple now wants to purchase Netflix. Apple has, as I've seen in I think it was a Wall Street Journal or New York Times the other day, Apple has $222 billion in offshore money. But this tax bill now allows them to repatriate, bring that money back home, and only pay a small amount of taxes on that. Whereas before, they were scared to bring that money back because they're afraid they're going to get taxed very heavy. But, the wealthy look out for the wealthy. And so that was one of the things in this tax bill. Also, the middle class saw their tax rates go higher. And there's a lot more to it, but that Senate tax bill was a major thing, and it will be a major thing. We're going to continue to see the blowback from that as time progresses. We just now entered into the second year. We only completed 1 year of the Trump administration, and it's been a doozy. So, moving on, number 24. Jordan Peele's movie, Get Out. Man, that was a great movie. A great movie. It broke box office records. Nobody expected it to do that. I mean, Jordan Peele demonstrated his mental genius. That was an excellent movie. If you have not seen it, make sure you go see it. It's called Get Out. Very good movie. 25. Let's not forget about Donald Trump wants his travel ban. And so with that, towards the end of the year, he got it. People that wish to come to America from a list of targeted Muslim countries, they're banned. unless they go through some very hefty screening and a whole bunch of other things that whatever Trump feels is fine, that vets the person. But that travel ban went through at the last minute. So that was that. Now, let's move on to 26. Let's not forget about the hurricanes in Texas, Florida, and the Caribbean. You had Hurricane Harvey, and that came in and devastated the eastern part of Texas, down in the Gulf. I mean, just wreaking havoc. And then Hurricane Irma came and devastated Florida Keys, hit Florida pretty bad. And also the Caribbean. You had the island of Barbuda that after it was all said and done, just from evacuations, it's the only time in history that has been unoccupied by humans. Puerto Rico is still without energy in many parts of the island. And the other thing that's crazy about it is the fact that many of the drug manufacturers that supply medicine and other healthcare tools and supplies, they are domiciled in Puerto Rico. Their factories are there in Puerto Rico. And so a lot of them are not functioning at full potential. And so they're not able to crank out a lot of medicine. I can tell you that just working in the healthcare field, normal saline, what they use for IV fluids, that's hard to come by, all right? So many drugs are just hard to get. And if you do get them, they're at exorbitant prices. Now, some people would say maybe they're just using that hurricane as an excuse to hike up prices. Maybe, I don't know, but that's what it is. Then, number 27, we had the California wildfires. Now, this was wild. If you saw the video footage, it was unreal. It was unreal. Like, you had the cars driving down the highway, and you look to the left, it looked like they were driving into Dante's Inferno. All right? It looked like all the depictions, the Hollywood depictions of hell, that's what it looked like they were driving into. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And, the wildfires are spreading as the wind was blowing. I know CNN had reported that as much as 2 times the size of Washington, D.C., of California acreage was damaged to the wildfire. And I'm still trying to think if it's really going on. I mean, you haven't heard too much reporting on it, but I don't think they just got it under control just like that. So that's something for us to follow up on. Number 28, Atlanta gets its first black woman mayor. All right, let's clap it up. Black women are really doing their thing. I love it. I love it. You also had in Alabama where they beat out Roy Moore, and that was, they say, because black women came out in big numbers. So that's good. Number 29, the Ball family. They just, LeVar Ball and his sons, I mean, they always managed to stay in the spotlight. Like, from LeVar Ball giving a unapologetic, unabashed statements of how he feels or what his plans are, whether they seem unrealistic or obnoxious. He says what he says, he does what he does, and the only thing you can do is just watch him work. He's not breaking any rules, he's not committing crimes, he's just telling you, this is how I feel, this is what I'm doing. Hate it or love it, it is what it is. And he is like a thorn in the side of the NBA and a lot of these contractors that, go seek out talent the traditional route that kind of keeps money and prestige in the hands of traditional hands. He's challenging the establishment. He has his sons that have a real good talent. Then you had the sneaker launch. Then he's talking about he's doing a whole new basketball league for younger gentlemen coming out of school. Then his son went over to China and I guess he got caught for shoplifting. And then LeVar got into a back and forth with Trump where Trump was saying, you need to thank me. And LeVar was saying, I don't need to thank you for anything. So it was just like, the Ball family, they were, they are definitely part of 2017. All right. Sadly, number 30, we had the young black female Ashanti Billy. She was kidnapped right outside of a military base in Norfolk, Virginia. I think she was working at a Subway restaurant and she never came back I think they have video of her arriving and then video of her car leaving the base. And they never heard from her again. And then this is probably, I say, one of few times you saw missing black women make national attention. And partly because the black community was really, really making it an issue to get it out there. I personally know people that were doing their thing. You have Black and Missing Foundation on it. But sadly, they found her remains. They said the remains were skeletonized in the back of a North Carolina church. So we give a rest in peace. We give our sympathy and empathy and condolences to the family, because that is definitely got to be a heartbreaking experience, you know, to have a loved one tragically killed like that. So they found the guy who did it. It was a black male, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do some serious time. All right, number 31, Martin Shkreli. He was indicted for jail. This is the guy that bought the patent for a rare drug. Many people that suffer from HIV, they can also come down with opportunistic infections because their immune system's already compromised. And when they come down with these infections, you know, you have like Toxoplasma gondii, you have like nocardia, you have pneumocystis carinii pneumonia, a lot of different things that Mycobacterium avium complex, also known as MAC. A lot of these medications are specific and are the disease, these other complications, only a few medications can actually treat them. So there was one in particular, and Martin Shkreli was a young white guy that, you know, he's like a Wall Street whiz, and he ended up buying the patent for that drug, and he raised the price to like $1,000 a pill. So there was an uproar because they were kind of like, you know, you're exploiting the price of a rare drug for financial gains. You know, this is the same guy that also bought the rare Wu-Tang album for like $1 million, but he got indicted. So he's supposed to be going to jail. So that's Martin Shkreli. We also had, at the beginning of the year, was the Asian passenger who was on United Airlines, where, you know, the airline authorities came in, walked into the cabin, and tried to escort him off because they needed people off the plane so they can take off because they were overbooked or overpacked, I shall say, as far as weight. And somehow he was selected as the one to go, and he didn't want to go. And I mean, you know, the security officers, you know, they got real physical with him and extracted him from the plane. You know, he left with like a bloody nose and mouth, and he was knocked unconscious. So that was a big thing. United Airlines got some very bad publicity from that. Moving along, number 33, Floyd Mayweather kept his crown. He was fighting Conor McGregor, who was a UFC fighter that felt, you know, he can bring it to Floyd and challenge Floyd's reputation, all his wins as a fighter, and he ended up losing. A lot of people were like, you know, this might be something, but he ended up losing. So Floyd kept his crown, and Floyd he is probably one, if not the only person that goes undefeated and at a young age. I think Floyd is 40 and has millions in the bank, multiple millions in the bank, and keeps his health. You know, a lot of boxers go through all this. You know, you've seen what happened to Muhammad Ali. And, hey, it leaves undefeated with the crown. So, you know, kudos to Floyd on that. All right. We then had 34, Meek Mill. Meek Mill had these legal issues with the judge. A lot of people were saying that, look, Meek Mill is an example of what's happening to black men. You have judges with other interests that are targeting black men and unfairly sentencing him. What happened was Meek Mill had violated his parole, but the judge that actually sentenced him, he knew the judge. The judge actually had a private interest in the affairs of Meek Mill's career, where she kind of wanted him to sign with somebody that she's close with in the music industry. So she would have had something to gain. And, that didn't go the way that I guess she expected it. And so when he appeared in front of her, she punished beyond, I guess, the scope of what would be for him violating parole. Now, he did violate parole, that is true, but it was a conflict of interest there. And so that was that. 35, Jill Scott, singer, R&B, and soul singer, neo-soul singer, songstress, Jill Scott. Everybody loves Jill Scott. She got separated. They separated, her and her husband. It didn't work. Everybody was very happy. I remember when she got married, and it didn't work, So that is what it is. 36, talk show host, radio personality, big mouth of the media, Wendy Williams. She fell out on stage. That was big. Everybody was wondering what happened to Wendy. So she fell out on stage. Number 37, Donald Trump decides the U.S. is going to acknowledge Israel as the capital of Jerusalem. Major fail in international diplomacy. That whole thing with Israel and Palestine, and you just going to single-handedly say something like that, very, very, very irresponsible and dangerous. That region is a hotbed for conflict, and so we still have yet to see what's really going to happen from that. Number 38, writer, producer, director Tariq Nasheed released a best-selling DVD documentary film, 1804, about the Haitian Revolution, and is doing very well, doing good numbers on Amazon. It's been number one quite a few times. So kudos to Tariq Nasheed. Number 39, Mace and Cameron go at it. So, Mace used to be at the top of his game, and then Mace decided to go into the ministry, and he was gone for a minute. Then he kind of tiptoed back in, and then all of a sudden, Mace decided to release a song taking shots and dissing Cameron, and everybody was just like, oh, Mace is back, and da-da-da. And then Cameron went back, and, now that kind of fizzled out, but that was hot for a minute. Also, we mourn and give the condolences because you had the deaths of actor, comedian Charlie Murphy, Eddie Murphy's brother. You know him from Harlem Nights and the Chappelle Show, and he was doing some other things. We had the death of singer Chuck Berry. Come on now. That was the founder of rock and roll right there, Chuck Berry. So rest in peace to Chuck Berry, rest in peace to Charlie Murphy. Number 42, the biopic about Tupac, All Eyes on Me, was released. A lot of people loved it. Some people were like, oh, I think everybody was expecting like that NWA type feel, but it was still a good movie. It was very interesting. So that was All Eyes on Me. That came out. The other thing that we can't forget, which was pretty wild, was it was a shooting rampage by this black guy. He was a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity who clearly needed some mental health treatment. I guess him and his girlfriend broke up, and he just kind of went on a shooting spree, shot an old man, killed him. He was doing this on film on Facebook Live, So he killed himself when they found him. He killed himself. So, that kind of was a sad saga. The brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated gave an official and formal apology and offering of concern, which is rightly so. That's how you conduct business in something like this. So, kudos to those brothers. Number 44, Tamron Hall. Well, either she quit or she was pushed out of the spot, but she was pushed out. 45, I said Doug Jones won the Alabama vote. Number 46, Taxstone. He was indicted for killing Troy Ave's bodyguard. Troy Ave was a rapper in New York. Bodyguard, they got into some altercation. Behind the scenes in the club, they had video footage and everything. And so they ended up finding out that Taxstone was the guy that I guess allegedly shot and killed Troy Ave's bodyguard, and he got indicted for that this year. 47, you had the FBI. They made the Black Identity Extremist memo, and that circulated. So basically, put most black people, if you have any pride in your heritage or your race, your ethnicity, you have any pride or love for black people and you outwardly speak about it, you have the possibility of being placed on a black identity extremist list where they say that you are a risk, you are a threat to the government, you're a threat to police, and they need to do something with you. So that was very controversial, and I think they're still fighting back against that. You had the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport go completely out of power. All right. Number 49, you had the death of Combat Jack, who was a hip-hop podcast pioneer. Number 50, you had the Khalif Browder documentary get released. That was dope. It brought light to a very serious situation when we talk about the prison system in America, and especially how it engages black and brown citizens, and then the fallout, the residual fallouts from that. 51, rapper Black Thought from the Roots showed you on Hot 97 with Funk Master Flex why he should always be considered and factored in your top 5 MCs. Did his thing. I mean, he set that microphone on fire with his 10-minute freestyle. 10 minutes straight. No breaks, just freestyling, going in. Number 52, Joe Budden parted ways with the Everyday Struggle Show and partnered with Charlamagne the God from The Breakfast Club. Number 53, activist Erica Garner, who is the daughter of Eric Garner, who was choked out and killed by the New York City Police Department. She ended up suffering a massive stroke and died right at the tail end of 2017. So, condolences and sympathies to the Garner family. We also have number 54, what happened with Zimbabwe, where basically it was a coup. They wanted to change that regime of control. It was a control thing. The history of Zimbabwe is very unique, and you had like a lot of whites that were controlling that, and they had a revolution with Zimbabwe. They tried to, they did actually, get the land from the whites that were controlling it. You have President Mugabe, and Mugabe was at this present day was like, look, you know what? I'm sick of all this. We're stripping all the whites that had land, farmland here. We're taking all their land and giving it back to the people that it belongs to, the land of the people that it belongs to here in Zimbabwe and all this other stuff. And Britain, you can keep your money. And so then the coup came and basically they did unseat Mugabe. So they have a new president. So that was a big thing in Zimbabwe. And lastly, the Umar Johnson, Tariq Nasheed feud, that was a big thing. I just say, look, I hope the brothers can piece it together. I think both brothers contribute heavily to the black conscious community. Hopefully they can smooth things out. Hopefully there'll just be some type of peace agreement, because we can't afford divides like that. And so with that being said, I'm through. That was the 2017 year in review, here with you on Source Radio Network. And so, with that being said, I want to make sure that we thank our sponsors once again. That's Zuliana Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper to Film Productions, Revolution Mills, Renovations, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, Urban Grandstand Digital at New Covenant Praise Worship Center. Now, you can always catch us every Wednesday, 8 p.m., right here on the Pendulum with Dr. Samori Swygert, a.k.a. Doc Swag. We always chop up some good stuff. You can also hit me on Twitter at DocSwag06, that's DOCSWAGG06, or you can find me on the internet at www.blackladder.net. It is not a .com, it is a .net. Or you can also find the Pendulum on Facebook. We have a Facebook fan page for Source Radio Network. And 2 Minutes and Some Change on Facebook, 2MASC. Have a very happy, prosperous, wealthy, healthy, emotionally balanced, loving, caring new year. Very productive. All right? And we are out. Peace and blessings.
it's yours.